So welcome to CGH. Today we are going to build a productivity timer application using Python PyQt5 library. So as you can see, this is the application that we are going to build in this tutorial, and you can go to settings and you can select a countdown time limit. So for now I will be using 0.1 hour update, and you can select a music, the background music while the time running, and select that, close this window, and let's hit start. So as you can see, the timer starts running and the music is also playing in the background, and you can mute the music using this button. And when the timer ends or when you press the stop button, this window will be prompt, time's up, take some rest. So that's it. This is what we are going to build in this tutorial. We will be using Python PyQt5 library for creating this. Let's start. So first let's create a directory for our project. Inside my home I'm going to create a directory called ptimer or productivity timer. You can name it whatever you want, and let's go inside that. And so we just created a directory for our project, and so as you can see here, I've just divided the entire process into several subtasks, as you can see here, so that we can complete each of them one by one. So the first task is to install all the necessary dependencies. So first of all, this is a Python project, so you have to install Python in your machine. To install Python, you can simply go to python.org/downloads, and you can download the version corresponding to your operating system. Okay, so I will be using Python 3.6 I think, but it will work on whatever Python 3 version you are using. So the next thing what we want to install is PyQt5. So PyQt5 is a Python library. So if you know Python, you might already know how to install a Python package. So you have to use pip for that. Pip install PyQt5. So you can install PyQt5 like that. And we need Qt Designer also. Qt Designer is a useful tool while creating UI files, and it will be really helpful when we are creating UI files. Okay, to install that you have to run the command pip install PyQt5 tools. So you have to run this command and it will install the PyQt5 tools, and Qt Designer is one among those tools. Okay, so that's it about the installation, and now we need to generate the necessary UI files. So as I showed you earlier, we have three windows. We have a main window, we have a settings window, and we have an end screen. We have to design all these three windows. I have to generate the UI files for those windows. And let's open the Qt Designer. And this is the Qt Designer application, and you have to select main window and press create. So now we have a blank window over here. I will show you the workflow over here, and after that I will show you the UI files. Okay, fine. So these are all the widgets, and you can add them to your window by simply drag and dropping them. Just consider if you need a push button, you can simply drag and drop a push button, and you have to give a corresponding name here. So this is a button name, and you have to remember this name, because while coding you have to call these objects using this name. So these are not just names, these are the object name. These are the identifiers to these objects, so you have to give sensible names to them. And then we have a checkbox here, and you can give checkbox name to that checkbox. And then what we need for our project, and then we need a line edit. A line edit is it's like it allows users to input data, and you can get data from the users through this line edit. And then there are you can try out this, but for this project we just need, what else do we need? Okay, so we need a slider also. We need a horizontal slider, and so I think that's it. And a label also. Okay, fine. Okay, label. So label is just a text, and you can modify the content inside that text, or you can do whatever with it inside our Python code. Okay, fine. So that's it. Okay, these are all the stuffs we need. And to design those elements, to design a PyQt element, you can use CSS. You can simply right click on an object and change style sheet, and you can you can add CSS styles to it, like background color, And if you want to give a background color too, you can simply type background color, just like you write CSS code. Background color white, and click apply. Okay, it's a button, so it will, you know, when it's rendered, it will turn to white color. Okay, fine. So that's how we used PyQt, the Qt designer application. And now let me show you the UI files that I made. So this is the main window UI, and I will show you each and every element. For the background, I choose, if you want to change the background color stuff, you can simply click on the window and select change style sheet. Here I give a linear gradient to that background. So you can see this is the gradient, and for that I use a Q linear gradient. To add that Q linear gradient, you don't have to write like this. You can just go to add gradient, background color, and you can select a gradient that you want. And if you don't like these gradients, you can create a new one by clicking the new button over here. And that's it about the background. And then this is just a label. I named it count because we have to give a name similar to this, and because this is our counter. Okay, so I just named it count, and you can see so this is not this gradient simply means transparent, so I just made that background transparent. And then I gave a custom font to it. I use Ubuntu. And so first thing, you can design what in whatever style you want, and it doesn't matter as long as all these elements exist, and with these names, it will just work fine. So you can design whatever you like. And then I gave a padding left. So padding left simply means, that inside space over here. To control that, I can use a padding left command, and then I give a white color to it. And a round circle it's another label, and I just it's another label, and I just give it a border radius. So border radius is a CSS property that will make the edges circular. So that's why we need the border radius. And I give a 3 pixel solid white border and a transparent Q linear gradient. And then we have a stop button and a start button. So we have two buttons over here. We have stop button and start button. These are just a Q push button. Drag and drop a Q push button, resize it, and give a border radius. So I'll show you the border radius over here. So give a border radius of 25 pixel. You can adjust that. If I give a 20 pixel border radius, then it will be like that. As you can see, the more pixel you give here, the more circular it will become. So let me give it 25 then, because I need circular buttons over there. And this is a checkbox. You can find that somewhere over here. Where is it? So the checkbox is over here. You can drag and drop a checkbox and give a linear gradient background color and a border and a slight amount of border radius also. And this is just a Q push button, and I named it settings, and I named this mute and stuffs like that. And if you know CSS, you have to remember that not all CSS code work here. This is just a subset of CSS, and you can use basic CSS styling here. But if you are going to use advanced CSS stuff, it won't show anything. So you have to keep that in mind. It's a subset of the CSS3. Okay, so that's about the main window UI. And and now we need to save this, right? So to save, just go to File, Save As, and then let me go to our working directory. It's ptimer. I'm going there. I'm just going to create a new folder inside here, and I'm going to name it. What name should I give? Let's call it UI. So inside that UI, I'm going to save this UI file as main.ui. Okay, and the next UI that we want is the settings UI. Okay, so in case of settings UI, I give a slight pink color. I gave a slight pink color as the background, and this is the hex value of pink, if you don't know that. And then I gave a label, and I just give it a random name to it because we are not accessing this element using our code. So the elements like that, like if you don't want to access an element inside your code, then you don't have to give a proper name to it. The designer will give you a random name. So, and then we have another label, and this is also a label, but I named it stat because we have to access that. Whenever the user seek this slider, that corresponding slider value will be showed in here. So I just give it a proper name, and then we have an update button over here, and so this is just a Q push button, and then we have a change music button also there. So that's it for the settings UI, and let's save this file also there. Inside the UI, let's save it as settings.ui file. Okay, next is our end.ui file, and this is basic stuff. I give a black background color, and I give it a label and a button. That's it, nothing else, and the button name is okay. Okay, and let's save this file also there. Save as. Okay, so now we have all the necessary UI files to work with, and next thing what we want is we need an audio file, right? So as I showed you earlier, our application have the capability to play audio while the timer runs. So let's you can choose whatever audio you want. So for in my case, as the default audio, I will be like let me choose some random audio over here, passenger music, and then let's go to our project directory. Yeah, let's create an asset folder over here, and let's save that music file over here. I will change this music file later because it's a copyrighted song. Okay, fine, and that's it. The step 2 is also complete, and the next from now onwards we will be start coding, and yeah, let's start creating our first class.